In the heart of the bustling city, where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and luxury cars zoomed past, lived a billionaire named Victor Harrington. Victor was not just any wealthy man. He was known throughout the world for his incredible business acumen and his ability to turn failing companies into thriving enterprises. With a portfolio that included high-end hotels, exclusive restaurants, and even a luxury yacht, he seemed to have it all. Every day, Victor woke up in his lavish penthouse suite, overlooking the shimmering lights of the city. His morning started with freshly brewed coffee served by his personal chef, followed by a quick workout in his private gym. Afterward, he would slip into tailored suits that only the richest could afford and step into his sleek black limousine, ready to conquer another day in the world of high finance. Victor's life revolved around meetings and deals. He was often surrounded by other wealthy individuals at charity galas and exclusive events, where champagne flowed freely and laughter echoed through grand ballrooms. Yet, despite the glitz and glamour surrounding him, there was an emptiness in Victor's heart that no amount of money could fill. He had everything he could ever want, but still felt disconnected from the world around him. To those who knew him only as a billionaire, Victor seemed invincible. A man whose wealth granted him power and respect. However, beneath his polished exterior lay a longing for something deeper than material possessions. Genuine connection and understanding. In moments of quiet reflection, he would often think about those who struggled to make ends meet, living lives far removed from his own. One crisp autumn afternoon, after a particularly grueling meeting that left him feeling more drained than usual, Victor decided to take a stroll through the park to clear his mind. The leaves crunched underfoot as he wandered down winding paths lined with vibrant trees. Children played nearby while couples enjoyed their time together on benches scattered throughout the area. As he walked further into the park, Victor's gaze caught sight of something unusual. A woman sitting alone on the ground with her back against a weathered tree trunk. Her clothes were tattered and her hair appeared unkempt, but what stood out most was her outstretched hand, which held a small collection of coins and a unique ring. Victor's heart skipped a beat when he noticed the ring glinting in the sunlight. It was unmistakable. The same ring he had lost years ago during an unfortunate incident at one of his parties. The memory flooded back to him. It belonged to his late grandmother, a woman whose love had always been unwavering despite their differences in lifestyle. Intrigued, he approached her slowly. As he got closer, he could see her gentle eyes filled with warmth despite her circumstances. "Excuse me?" he said softly, kneeling beside her. "That ring, where did you find it?" The woman looked up at him with surprise but then offered a faint smile. "It was given to me by someone who needed help," she replied hesitantly but warmly. "I thought it might bring me luck." Victor's mind raced as emotions surged within him. Feelings of nostalgia mixed with compassion for this woman who had somehow come into possession of something so precious to him. The stark contrast between their lives struck him hard. Here she was struggling for basic necessities while wearing something that once symbolized love and family. "Can I ask your name?" he ventured further, hoping to understand her better. "Lily?" she said quietly as she adjusted her posture slightly but kept her gaze steady on him. A spark ignited within Victor. A sense of purpose that had been missing from his life for so long. He realized that this moment wasn't just about recognizing a cherished ring. It was about recognizing something much deeper. A connection between two different worlds that could lead to unexpected paths. As they continued talking amidst the rustling leaves above them, Victor found himself drawn not just to the ring but also to Lily's spirit and resilience despite adversity. Perhaps this chance encounter could change everything, for both of them. And so began an unforgettable journey that would challenge everything Victor thought he knew about wealth, love, and what truly mattered in life. As Victor continued his stroll through the park, the cool autumn breeze whispered through the trees, sending a shower of colorful leaves swirling around him. He inhaled deeply, attempting to clear his mind, but thoughts of business transactions and empty social gatherings lingered stubbornly. Just as he began to embrace the moment, a quiet scene in the park caught his eye. Tucked away beside an old oak tree sat a woman named Lily. Her weathered face told stories of hardship, each crease a testament to her struggles. She wore ragged clothing that looked 2 sizes too big for her thin frame, well-worn shoes with holes that revealed her toes curled inwards for warmth. But it was her eyes that truly captivated Victor. They sparkled with resilience and kindness, a bright contrast to her surroundings. Lily sat cross-legged on the ground, clutching a small cardboard sign that read, "Hungry and homeless. Any help is appreciated." In front of her lay a few coins and a piece of half-eaten bread, a meager offering that barely conveyed the tumult of experiences she had faced. Yet despite her circumstances, she radiated warmth that drew Victor closer. Compelled by an urge he couldn't quite understand, Victor approached her slowly with every step. He felt a strange connection to this woman who appeared so different from himself, yet somehow less foreign than he had expected. The bustling city life faded into the background as a bubble of silence surrounded them. "Hello?" Victor said gently, kneeling down to bring himself closer to her level. "My name is Victor." Lily looked up at him with surprise mixed with caution but quickly softened as she noticed his kind demeanor. "Nice to meet you, Victor," she replied quietly. "I'm Lily. What's your story?" Victor asked, genuinely interested, his heart aching at the sight before him. But it wasn't just curiosity. It was an urge to understand more about the reality Lily faced every day. With a small sigh, Lily leaned back against the tree trunk and began to share her tale. "I used to have a job as a waitress in a diner downtown. I worked hard to pay my rent and support my little girl." Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke of her daughter, revealing glimpses of her past life filled with love and hope. "But one night, there was an accident," she continued, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "The restaurant caught fire. I barely escaped but lost everything. My job, my home, and I couldn't keep my daughter safe." Victor listened intently as she recounted how financial struggles led to difficult choices. Each word dripped with the weight of loss and betrayal by fate itself. Even in this difficult moment, she held on to resilience like a lifeline. Her spirit shone brightly through the pain. "I've been living on the streets ever since," Lily admitted softly, glancing at her hands where she held the unique ring. "People give me food sometimes, or spare change." She directed his gaze towards her hand, the same ring that had once belonged to Victor's grandmother. A tangible reminder of what had been lost yet also intertwined destinies. "Your ring?" he stammered, pointing spontaneously at it. Unable to contain his shock any longer, memories flooded him as they locked eyes again. His grandmother's soft voice echoing in his mind as she expressed love for him while wearing this very ring. "Yes," Lily confirmed, looking down at it with both awe and confusion. "Kind lady gave it to me when I was in need. She said it might bring me luck." Victor felt something shift within him at that moment, a sense of purpose beyond mere curiosity or sympathy. Here was this woman who had faced unimaginable hardships but still maintained a flicker of hope even while holding on to his cherished family heirloom. "I can't believe you have this ring," he said reverently. "It meant so much to me." For an instant, they shared an understanding deeper than words could convey. Two lives intertwined by chance under such vastly different circumstances. As their conversation continued under the rustling leaves overhead, Victor realized this encounter might be more significant than he had ever anticipated. In that serene park filled with vibrant colors and crisp air, a place where two worlds intersected, came an undeniable connection between Victor and Lily that would forever change their lives. As Victor knelt beside Lily, his gaze remained fixed on the ring that adorned her finger. It was unmistakably the same ring he had lost years ago. A delicate piece of jewelry that held a wealth of memories and emotions. The ring was crafted from gold, twinkling under the soft autumn sun, with intricate designs that spiraled gracefully around a modest yet stunning emerald at its center. To the untrained eye, it might have seemed like just a piece of jewelry, but to Victor, it was a symbol of love, family, and loss. Victor's grandmother had worn that ring for as long as he could remember. It was a gift from his grandfather, passed down through generations, each owner cherishing it as more than a mere ornament. To Victor, the ring embodied the warmth of his grandmother's hugs, her laughter ringing in his ears during family gatherings, and the stories she would tell about their ancestors who had loved and fought for their place in the world. Each time she wore it, she would gently remind him of the importance of family bonds and the strength found in resilience. The loss of that ring had struck Victor deeply. It happened during a lavish party at his estate. A night filled with music, laughter, and clinking glasses. Amidst the chaos and merriment, he remembered reaching out to his grandmother for a moment of connection when they spotted an old family friend across the room. In that split second, the ring had slipped from her finger and vanished into the crowded floor, Despite thorough searches and inquiries among those present, it was never found. Now, seeing it on Lily's hand stirred up a whirlwind of emotions within him. There was disbelief mixed with hope. How could this woman possess something so precious? Did fate guide this ring back into his life? As he contemplated these questions, he felt drawn to her even more. She was not just a beggar, but someone who had unknowingly connected him to his past. What does this ring mean to you? Victor asked softly as he pointed towards it. His voice carried an urgency born from a place of longing for understanding. Lily looked down at the ring with a mix of reverence and sadness. It's special, at least to me, she replied, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. A kind woman gave it to me when I was in dire need. She told me it belonged to her grandmother and brought her good luck. A gentle smile spread across her face as she recalled that day, a moment where hope flickered in her heart amidst the darkness surrounding her life. That's beautiful, Victor said sincerely, struck by how this ring had traversed different hands and hearts while carrying stories unimaginable to many. I can't believe it found its way back to me, or rather to you. For Lily, the ring represented survival. The kindness of strangers amidst hardship and a reminder that even in times of despair, one could find bits of beauty. Holding onto it made her feel connected to something greater than herself. It instilled in her a sense of hope that perhaps life could change for the better. As they continued speaking about their lives, Victor realized that there was something profound happening between them, something that transcended wealth or status. He felt an undeniable bond forming, rooted not just in their shared moment but also in their individual journeys filled with struggles and strengths. Your story truly resonates with me, Victor admitted, his eyes meeting hers with sincerity. This ring has always reminded me of my family's love and support throughout my life. But hearing how it has touched yours makes it even more meaningful. Lily nodded slowly. She sensed the weight behind Victor's words. The connection they shared because of that ring was unexpected yet powerful. A bridge between two worlds that usually would never cross paths, and this exchange under the sprawling branches of trees painted with autumn hues. They found themselves intertwined by fate's mysterious designs. Two lives connected through past sorrows and present hopes, both longing for something more than what life had handed them so far. The simple act of recognition sparked new possibilities neither could have envisioned alone. As Victor pondered how much this seemingly small object could shift perspectives for both himself and Lily, he felt compelled to dig deeper into their unexpected relationship. Perhaps this encounter was meant to lead him toward understanding not only what true wealth meant, but also how connections could manifest between souls who appeared worlds apart. As Victor knelt beside Lily, his thoughts drifted back to the night he lost the ring. A memory that felt as vivid as if it had just happened. It was a grand evening filled with laughter and joy. A celebration of his newest business venture that had brought him both acclaim and wealth. The extravagant party took place in his sprawling estate, adorned with lavish decorations and filled with the city's elite. Victor could still hear the music playing softly in the background, the sound of glasses clinking together in celebration mingling with the chatter of guests mingling throughout the beautifully decorated rooms. He remembered how excited he had been to host such an event, eager to share his success with friends and family. Among them was his beloved grandmother, Eleanor, who had always been his guiding light. Eleanor was a petite woman with a warm smile and an infectious laugh that could light up any room. She wore her hair neatly pinned up, and that night she dazzled everyone in her elegant dress, but it was the ring on her finger that caught everyone's attention. It sparkled brilliantly under the chandeliers. A symbol of love passed down from generations. Victor felt a sense of pride whenever he looked at her wearing it. As the evening progressed, Victor was caught up in conversations about future business plans and potential partnerships. He often glanced over at Eleanor, who sat surrounded by friends recounting stories from her past. Her laughter rang out like music, reminding him of all the lessons she had taught him about kindness and hard work. In one moment of pure joy and excitement, Victor decided to join her for a brief chat. He made his way across the room, weaving through clusters of well-dressed guests, until he reached her side. Just as they were about to embrace in a warm hug, an old family friend approached them. A man Victor hadn't seen in years. "Victor! Come here!" The man called out enthusiastically, waving his arms to draw Victor's attention away from Eleanor in that split second of distraction. As Victor turned toward his friend to respond, Eleanor lifted her hand to point out a funny story she was sharing. With that movement, the ring slipped from her finger. An unexpected twist of fate that would change everything. Victor watched in horror as it tumbled through the air before landing on the polished wooden floor among hundreds of dancing feet. "No," he gasped, rushing forward as time seemed to slow down. The laughter around him faded into silence as guests noticed what had just happened. He dove down onto the floor amidst chaos, searching frantically under tables and chairs while calling out for help. "Has anyone seen it? The ring! I need to find it!" Panic gripped him as each passing minute felt like an eternity. Despite their best efforts, searching every corner of the room, no one could locate the cherished heirloom. Eleanor's face fell as disappointment washed over her. She tried to put on a brave smile, but her eyes betrayed her heartbreak. "We'll find it," Victor reassured her desperately, though deep inside he feared they never would. They ended up scouring every inch of the estate until dawn broke outside. But as light filtered through, windows illuminating empty spaces where memories once thrived, hope faded along with nightfall. That day marked a turning point for Victor. Losing something so deeply connected to family history left him feeling hollow inside. Over time, he threw himself into work trying to drown out feelings of inadequacy, convincing himself that material success could fill emotional voids left by loss. The ring became more than just an object. It represented love lost and memories cherished, but also guilt, intertwined with failure for not protecting what mattered most. Now here he was again, kneeling beside a woman who possessed this very ring. A bridge connecting two worlds that seemed so far apart yet somehow aligned by fate's mysterious design. As he recalled that night etched into his heart forevermore, the joy overshadowed by despair. He realized this moment held more meaning than any party or deal ever could. Eleanor would have wanted this ring to bring hope. He thought quietly while looking at Lily's face, illuminated by autumn sunlight filtering through trees overhead. They were both seekers yearning for connection amidst life's trials. A beggar and a billionaire drawn together by threads spun from their shared pasts. Victor felt determination rising within him. Perhaps this encounter wasn't merely coincidental but rather an opportunity for healing. For both himself and for Lily too. As Victor knelt beside Lily, his heart raced, and he felt a whirlwind of emotions wash over him. The moment their eyes locked, something shifted in the air. An unspoken understanding blossomed between them. He couldn't shake the feeling of familiarity that surrounded the ring on her hand, but it wasn't until she casually lifted her hand to adjust her hair that the truth hit him like a thunderclap. There it was, the ring he thought he had lost forever. The intricate design shimmered in the autumn sunlight, catching Victor's eye with its dazzling emerald centerpiece. Memories flooded back to him. The warmth of his grandmother's hug, her laughter ringing in his ears. His breath caught in his throat as recognition sent shockwaves through him. "Lily, that ring, it's my grandmother's." He breathed, struggling to find words amidst the sudden rush of shock and disbelief. The world around him faded away. All he could see was the ring and the woman who held it. Lily blinked, surprised by his sudden outburst. "Your grandmother's?" she echoed in disbelief, slowly turning her gaze to examine the ring on her finger as if seeing it for the first time. "I was given this by someone who said it brought good luck." Victor's heart raced even faster, and he could barely process her words. "How did you come to have it?" he asked urgently, leaning closer as curiosity mingled with a desperate need for answers. She hesitated for a moment, searching his eyes for sincerity before responding. "I met an older lady when I was struggling on the streets. She saw me sitting there one day and offered me some food along with this ring." Lily paused as if choosing her words carefully. "She told me it belonged to her grandmother and had brought her hope during difficult times." Victor felt a knot tighten in his chest at hearing those words. Hope during difficult times echoed a theme both he and Lily were navigating through their own lives. "Do you remember anything else about this woman?" he pressed gently, yearning to understand how this unexpected connection had formed across their disparate worlds. Lily shook her head slowly but continued to share what little she remembered. She wasn't dressed fancy like most people. She looked as if life hadn't been easy on her, either. But she smiled warmly when she gave me this ring. A flicker of warmth lit up her face as she recounted the memory. "I held onto it tightly because I thought maybe I could find my way again." Victor's heart swelled with emotion. He felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude towards this unknown woman who had cared enough to pass on not just a piece of jewelry, but also a small glimmer of hope during Lily's darkest days. He couldn't help but wonder about Eleanor. The bond they shared through that very ring, and how love transcended generations and circumstances. In that moment of recognition, Victor's mind raced with possibilities. Was fate intervening? Was losing that ring all those years ago supposed to lead him here? This encounter felt too significant to be mere coincidence. These threads of their lives were woven together across time like an intricate tapestry. "Thank you for sharing your story," Victor said earnestly, feeling compelled to express how deeply moved he was by their connection. "Your journey matters so much more than you might realize." Lily looked at him with surprise and uncertainty, but also with newfound hope flickering in her eyes. A mirror reflecting his own feelings back at him. It was clear to both of them that they were not just two lives colliding randomly. They were pieces of a larger puzzle meant to fit together in ways yet to be discovered. As they sat beneath the sprawling branches overhead bathed in golden light filtering through leaves, two souls from vastly different walks of life, Victor realized something profound. The true beauty behind possessions like rings lay not just within their material value but rather within stories shared and connections forged between hearts seeking solace and understanding. The realization settled within Victor. This moment held transformative potential for both him and Lily alike. Perhaps together they could create a new path forward filled with healing and hope, a chance embraced against all odds. As Victor sat beside Lily, the golden light of the afternoon sun filtering through the leaves above them, his mind raced with conflicting thoughts. This chance encounter, marked by the ring that bound their lives, had shaken him to his core. He had never imagined that a simple stroll in the park would lead him to such an impactful moment. Yet, now he found himself grappling with an idea that was both thrilling and terrifying. A proposal. Victor's heart raced at the thought of asking Lily to marry him. In his mind, it felt wild and impulsive, but there was also something undeniably right about it. He felt a spark of connection with her that transcended their differences in status and circumstance. The notion of offering her a life filled with love and support seemed like a beautiful way to honor both her struggles and his grandmother's legacy. Yet societal expectations loomed heavily in Victor's thoughts. What would people think? The world saw him as a powerful billionaire, one who belonged to an elite echelon of society where appearances and public perceptions mattered deeply. Marrying a beggar would not only raise eyebrows but could invite judgment and ridicule from those who deemed such a union unthinkable. Victor couldn't help but picture the reactions from his friends and colleagues if they were to learn about his choice. Would they see Lily as beneath him? Would they question his sanity for choosing love over status? The whispers of disapproval crept into his mind, creating waves of doubt about whether such a proposal would be foolish or brave. But then he looked at Lily. The warmth in her eyes as she shared her story of resilience and hope washed away some of those fears. She was not just a beggar. She was a woman with dreams, struggles, and an undeniable spirit. In that moment beside her, Victor realized that the true measure of worth was not found in wealth or social standing but in the connections forged through shared experiences. "Am I really considering this?" he thought incredulously, struggling to grasp the depth of his own feelings for someone from such a different world. The thought of taking her hand in marriage brought forth images of joy, of building a life together filled with love, laughter, and the healing power of companionship. "What if this is my chance to rewrite my own narrative?" he pondered silently. Perhaps marrying Lily could break down societal barriers and challenge norms that dictated how love should look. Maybe their union could become a symbol of hope for others who fought against their own adversities. The emotions swirling within him began to crystallize into clarity as he weighed his options. He could either succumb to fear and play it safe or choose to embrace life's unpredictability. Something he had long neglected in favor of financial success. Wasn't true wealth found in love? His grandmother's ring represented far more than its material value. It was about connection, family, and living authentically. But then doubt crept back in. What if this was all too sudden? What if his feelings were simply a reaction to the emotional whirlwind created by their encounter? Victor wrestled with these questions as he sought certainty amidst uncertainty. He remembered another lesson that Eleanor had instilled in him. Follow your heart, Victor. It was advice wrapped in warmth and wisdom that echoed through time. Eleanor had lived boldly despite societal constraints during her lifetime. Perhaps it was time for Victor to embrace that same boldness, Lily turned to him then, sensing perhaps an inner conflict raging within him. "Victor?" she said softly, breaking through the silence that hung between them like an unspoken question waiting to be answered. "What are you thinking?" Taking a deep breath, Victor knew he had reached a crossroads. A decision needed to be made. He could cling to what others might think or step forward into the unknown alongside someone who had already shown unwavering strength amidst hardship. "Lily?" He began slowly, feeling every word hold weight as if they carried the hopes and dreams of both their futures within them. "I don't know what lies ahead, but I want you by my side." The moment hung suspended in time as reality awaited his next words. Words that had the potential to change everything for both of them. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the park around them, and Victor felt his heart pounding against his chest. He stared into Lily's eyes, their deep brown filled with kindness and reflection. She sensed his internal struggle and patiently waited for him to find the words he yearned to say. In that moment, everything around them faded. The park sounds, the laughter of children, even the rustling leaves, leaving only the two of them connected by a shared understanding that felt both new and ancient. Gathering his courage took more than just a moment. It required an embrace of uncertainty and vulnerability. Victor had always prided himself on being decisive, commanding, traits that had propelled him to dizzying heights in business. But now he found himself standing at an emotional precipice that felt entirely different from boardroom negotiations or financial strategies. "What am I really afraid of?" he thought, breathing deeply to steady his racing heart. The answer was simple: fear of failure, fear of judgment from the world outside their sacred moment. Yet as he gazed upon Lily, this remarkable woman with her spirit shining brightly despite her hardships, he realized that it no longer mattered what anyone else thought. "Follow your heart," Eleanor's voice echoed softly in his mind. That tiny piece of wisdom was more than just familial advice. It was a declaration of permission to seek happiness against all odds. Taking another steadying breath, Victor leaned a little closer to Lily. "Lily," he began tentatively, his voice barely above a whisper yet filled with purpose. "You've changed my life." The words hung in the air while he absorbed Lily's surprised expression as she blinked at him. "What do you mean?" she asked gently, as if unsure how such a statement could apply to her life. A life filled with challenges rather than triumphs. Victor took a moment to gather his thoughts. "The night we met, something shifted inside me that I can't explain. You brought something back into my life that I thought had been lost forever. Not just this ring, but hope," he said slowly, blushing slightly as he expressed emotions long buried beneath layers of wealth and success. "In you, I see strength and resilience. A person who has faced tremendous hardship yet still manages to shine." Lily sat in silence for a moment as she processed his words. Her expression shifted from surprise to understanding. She could feel genuine sincerity radiating off him like warmth on a winter day. "Victor?" She started again but hesitated, as though preparing to share something significant. But instead, it was Victor who sought clarity first. "Would you let me share how much you mean to me?" he interjected softly before she could finish her thought, knowing they were standing at an important crossroads where sacrifices easily walked hand in hand with dreams. "I'm here," Lily assured him as her heart began racing too, and then it happened. The swirling thoughts solidified into action as Victor fell to one knee on the grassy path before her. The world around them faded again. It was just him and Lily amid cascading leaves glowing like small lanterns above them. "Lily," he said earnestly, looking up into her eyes with emotion unconcealed. "Will you marry me?" Surprise spread rapidly across her face, the disbelief evident in every line etched upon it, but soon transformed into joy that reflected warmth back at Victor like sunlight after rain. It dawned on her that this wasn't merely a whimsical notion. It was an extension of the bond they had built, a commitment forged through stories shared and hearts exposed. "Victor, are you sure?" she stammered softly, still processing this incredible turn of fate laid before her. "My entire life has led me here, to this moment where I fully understand what love means," he replied passionately. "I've spent so long valuing material success over personal connections. I don't want to waste another second doubting nor living without you." The embrace of vulnerability surrounded them both while time stood still. a heartbeat filled with possibility swaying between two souls eager for each other's companionship amidst waves crashing unpredictably around them. "Yes," Lily exclaimed, finally breaking free from hesitation as tears shimmered in her eyes like stars emerging against twilight skies. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Victor couldn't contain his own glee either. Relief surged within him as they met halfway, enveloped by an embrace that transcended social norms and expectations completely. Two worlds merging into one newly forged future together, built upon authenticity rather than appearances alone, as they held one another tightly beneath boughs of foliage glistening with golden light. Weaving together fragments from pasts carried heavy burdens. They simultaneously unwound threads stitched through new hopes yet unknown. As the words hung in the air, a mix of disbelief and astonishment washed over Lily. She stood frozen for a moment, her heart racing as she tried to process what had just happened. The man kneeling before her, the billionaire Victor Harrington, had just proposed. It felt surreal, as though she had stumbled headfirst into an extraordinary dream from which she would soon awaken. "Me marry you?" she muttered, hardly able to comprehend the gravity of his question. Her brow furrowed in confusion while her thoughts tumbled over one another like autumn leaves caught in a sudden gust of wind. Did he mean it? Did he really want to marry someone like her? Lily had spent so much of her life feeling invisible, navigating the streets as a beggar with little more than a cardboard sign and hope. The idea of being swept off her feet by someone from such a different world felt entirely foreign to her. In her mind, Victor was a man of power and prestige with a life meticulously crafted for success, while she was just a woman still grappling with survival. She looked down at his outstretched hand, the ring glistening under the fading sunlight, all beauty and promise, but it felt like a mocking reflection of her reality. How could someone like him want to share a future with someone like her? The whispers of self-doubt crept back into her mind like unwelcome shadows. She fought against that instinctive voice telling her she wasn't worthy, that she didn't belong in his world. "Victor, are you sure you want this?" The words tumbled out before she could stop them, revealing the vulnerability she had hidden beneath layers of resilience. She searched his eyes for assurance, wondering if there was any chance he could see beyond societal labels. "Yes," he answered with unwavering conviction, his gaze fierce and clear. "I've never been more certain about anything in my life." Lily's heart skipped a beat. "But I'm just me, just Lily," she stammered, her voice trembling as she struggled to articulate how lost and small she felt in comparison to him. "What about everything you have? Your world is so very different from mine." A gentle smile touched Victor's lips as he stood up and moved closer to her, bridging the gap that separated their lives. "You're more than just Lily to me. You're a person filled with dreams and strength. It's who you are that matters, not where you come from or what you have." His words sliced through the clamor of self-doubt that surrounded her, but it was hard for Lily to fully accept them at first. "You don't know me?" she murmured, feeling exposed. What could he possibly see in someone whose days were often filled with begging for scraps? "I want to know everything about you," he replied sincerely, stepping into the light that reflected off the ring still held in his hand. "You've already changed my life by showing me what true strength looks like." He took a deep breath before continuing. "I can't let this opportunity slip away. Being with you feels right in ways I've never felt before." Lily's heart swelled against the fear trying to tether it back down. Could it be possible for something so beautiful to come from a life once driven by hardship? She glanced around at the park. The vibrant colors around them suddenly felt alive with meaning, as if nature itself was urging her towards this leap of faith. In that moment of clarity, she realized what Victor was offering was not just a proposal but an invitation to step into new possibilities. A life defined not by their pasts but by their future together. What if it doesn't work out? Her voice quivered slightly as doubt surfaced again. Victor reached out one hand, gently enveloping hers in warmth and affirmation. "What if it does? Life is too short to be driven by fear alone," he said softly yet firmly. "Let's explore this journey together, hand in hand." Tears shimmered in Lily's eyes. They were tears born not only from disbelief but also from budding hope that perhaps love could rise amidst struggle and uncertainty. The raw intensity of their connection spoke volumes about resilience, that together they could break through barriers set by society and create their own narrative. "Okay?" she whispered finally, the words slipping past trembling lips as her heart glowed brighter than ever before. And with that single affirmation, a recognition of connection over circumstance, Lily stepped onto this new path alongside Victor Harrington, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead together under the golden embrace of twilight. As twilight deepened around them, the park glowed softly, casting a magical ambience that surrounded Victor and Lily. With their hearts racing from the recent proposal, they sat side by side on the bench, allowing the gravity of the moment to settle before venturing into deeper conversation. "Victor," Lily began hesitantly, her fingers nervously fidgeting with the edge of her worn sweater. "I know we've just taken a huge leap together, but I feel like I need to share more about who I am, about my life." The sincerity in her voice resonated with Victor as he nodded encouragingly. "Of course," he replied gently, eager to learn more about the woman who had come to mean so much to him. "I want to hear everything." Taking a deep breath, she glanced down at the ground for a moment before meeting his gaze. "I haven't always lived like this," she said, her voice steadying as she opened up. "I used to have a small apartment and worked as a waitress in a diner. IT wasn't glamorous, but it was enough to get by, until everything changed." Lily's expression shifted as she delved into her past. "One night, there was an accident at the diner, an electrical fire that destroyed everything." Her voice quivered slightly at the memory. "I lost my job and my home that night. Afterward, it was hard for me to find work again. People looked at me differently now that I had no address." A shadow passed over her face, struggling against an unyielding tide of emotions. Victor listened intently, his heart aching for her. "It's not your fault," he said softly, wishing he could erase her pain. "Circumstances can change in an instant." She nodded appreciatively but continued with her story. "My little girl. She was taken from me when things got tough. The state stepped in because I couldn't provide stability anymore." Tears shimmered in her eyes as she remembered the dark days that followed, days filled with worry and despair over how to survive each moment without collapsing under the weight of grief. "I did what I could to survive, living on the streets and begging when I had no other choice," she admitted candidly. "But on my best days, I never lost hope that one day things would get better." That glimmer of resilience tugged at Victor's heartstrings as he reflected on his own life, the pressures and expectations that came from wealth and success but never once experiencing a struggle quite like Lily's. He felt compelled to share his own journey too. "I understand more than you might think," Victor said earnestly. "When I grew up, it was just my mother and me after my father passed away. We faced our hardships too. We struggled financially and often lived paycheck to paycheck." He paused for effect before adding, "I remember how it felt not having enough for dinner or worrying about bills looming overhead." His eyes tracked Lily's reaction as understanding blossomed between them. "That's hard," she whispered softly, realizing they shared an uncommon bond, one tempered by loss and driven by determination. Victor continued, revealing layers of his life he rarely spoke of. "Success came later for me, but it often felt isolating. The more money I made, the further away I felt from people." He glanced at Lily thoughtfully. "I've always been surrounded by power players in business meetings or extravagant parties, but never really connecting deeply with anyone." Lily felt a rush of compassion swell within her heart. Here they were two unlikely souls intertwined through combined struggles and joys yet forged different experiences along life's path, shedding light on how shared adversity could foster connections between even the most disparate worlds. For so long, he continued quietly with newfound purpose reflecting in his eyes. "I thought wealth equated to success, but now I know true connection is what matters most in this life." Lily nodded slowly as fresh understanding settled between them. A bridge forged through compassion where two stories intertwined despite vastly different circumstances. "Don't you see?" Victor powered on enthusiastically. "Together we can create something beautiful out of our pasts. The trials we faced only make us stronger today." As night fell gently around them like a protective blanket enveloping their newfound companionship, they both smiled through tears cast by memories shared, not hiding from heartbreak but embracing every fragment they'd endured along their journeys. In this captivating moment filled with vulnerability and honesty amidst shadows gathering around them, Victor Harrington found himself leaning closer toward Lily, a beggar turned queen of his heart. ready now not just for love, but also for unity carved. Amid resilience blended beautifully into their lives. As Victor and Lily embraced their new beginning beneath the soft glow of the twilight sky, a few curious onlookers in the park began to take notice of the unusual scene unfolding before them. Their whispers floated on the gentle breeze like autumn leaves, filled with surprise and speculation about the billionaire proposing to a woman they recognized as a beggar. At first, a couple walking their dog paused nearby. The woman's eyes widened as she nudged her partner. "Is that Victor Harrington?" she asked, barely able to contain her astonishment. "Yes, it is. But who's she?" Her partner responded quietly, glancing at Lily as if trying to assess the situation. Some people leaned closer, barely managing to disguise their intrigue as they observed the intimate exchange between the two. Their reactions ranged from admiration to skepticism, reflecting a spectrum of emotions grounded in their perception of wealth and societal norms. "I can't believe he would propose to her," said a man sitting on a nearby bench, brow furrowed in doubt. "What does she bring to the table? Doesn't he have better options?" A few feet away, an elderly woman shook her head with a hint of scorn. "Money changes everything," she murmured, offering up a resigned smile with a hint of disapproval. "This is just a publicity stunt. He can't actually love her." But not everyone shared that perspective. Another woman, witnessing the defining moment unfold, brought her hand to her heart. "You know what? I think it's beautiful," she said softly to her friend. "Love knows no boundaries, and if he truly sees something in her, maybe that's what we need more of in this world." Her words ignited a flicker of hope among those gathered. Intrigued and emboldened by this conversation, some passers-by shifted their focus back toward Victor and Lily. The tenderness evident between them transformed their initial skepticism into something deeper. They could see how both individuals seemed lost in their own bubble of joy amidst their vastly different realities. Victor clutched Lily's hand tighter, his expression genuine as he spoke softly to her about sharing each other's struggles and strengths. Passers-by exchanged glances, recognizing the emotional depth and bond developing between the unlikely couple. Perhaps there was more than just wealth at play here. Perhaps there was something infinitely richer taking shape. An older man sitting nearby leaned forward, his curiosity piqued by how Lily hadn't walked away from Victor despite his societal standing. "See that?" he murmured to his wife. "There's bravery in vulnerability. This could be a new chapter for both of them." As moments passed, onlookers couldn't help but be drawn into this scene of spontaneity and heartfelt connection. The quiet park had transformed into a court where emotions ran high and society's norms were being quietly questioned. While skepticism still lingered among some, for others, witnessing this bold act of love felt like witnessing the birth of something courageous, a challenge thrown at societal conventions that often dictated who people could love based on class or status. In hushed tones and whispered conversations among themselves, uncertainty slowly gave way to possibility. They began to question their own biases about love and worthiness. They couldn't help but wonder, wasn't it refreshing to witness authenticity in a world crowded with pretense? In that serene atmosphere under the golden sky painted with hints of purple, they saw Victor as more than just a billionaire. He became a symbol of breaking barriers, and with Lily standing there beside him, she transformed from mere beggar into a queen of her narrative. A story yet to unfold. Thus, while some continued to frown upon Victor's decision with judgment painted across their faces, others bore witness to love blooming amidst adversity, realizing through small glimpses into this shared moment that perhaps true richness wasn't about material wealth but rather about connection forged through understanding. An invitation extended by two separate souls forever intertwined now through choice and circumstance. Gradually, admiration eclipsed skepticism for many watching. Hearts warmed not just for Victor and Lily but also for themselves. It was an enriching reminder that love can transcend all barriers. It can emerge in even the most unexpected places or circumstances, and that was undoubtedly worth celebrating. In the days following their heartfelt proposal, Victor and Lily's lives began to intertwine in ways they never imagined possible. They ventured into this new chapter hand in hand, filled with hope yet touched by the shadows of their pasts and societal expectations. It was as if they had stepped into a world that was both beautiful and challenging. A dance of love and resilience. Victor, accustomed to the bustling life of high society, faced a barrage of judgments as they navigated through crowded streets and exclusive events together. While he thrived in boardrooms and luxury, now he found himself challenged with defending his choices in the face of skepticism from friends and family. The whispers about marrying a beggar echoed in his mind, sometimes like an unwelcome chorus, but his determination remained steadfast. At times, he would catch knowing glances thrown in their direction at social gatherings, glances that spoke volumes about class divides and preconceived notions. Despite this, Victor often ignored the murmurs surrounding them, grounding himself in the unwavering belief that love could break down barriers. He held Lily's hand a little tighter with every passing judgment. Lily, on the other hand, faced her own struggles as she adjusted from life on the streets to stepping into a world that felt foreign yet exhilarating. Moving into Victor's luxurious apartment was both a dream come true and a source of anxiety for her, as she unpacked simple belongings. Clothes worn thin from hardship, she couldn't help but feel a nagging sense of unworthiness creep back into her mind. What if I don't fit in? She wondered during quiet moments, gazing out at the dazzling skyline from their penthouse view. The sparkly city lights seemed so far away from the struggles of her old life. The doubts whispered messages of inadequacy and fear of disappointing Victor. Yet, each time those feelings surfaced, Victor was always there to gently lift her spirits. Sensing her vulnerability, he encouraged Lily to embrace the opportunities before them without hesitation. "You belong here just as much as I do," he would say with earnest warmth during their late-night talks, providing reassurance against society's harsh voices. "Remember that day in the park?" he'd remind her with a soft smile. "That was just the beginning. We're rewriting both of our stories now." His unwavering support became an anchor during turbulent moments, reminding her that everything else didn't matter if they were true to themselves. With time, Lily began to adapt to her new life. She found solace in volunteering at local shelters and connecting with people facing similar struggles as she once had. Her heart swelled with purpose as she realized how much wisdom her experiences offered. Meeting others who battled misfortunes reminded her of her own journey, a path not defined by past failures but by resilience forged through overcoming obstacles. Each day became an opportunity for growth, of reclaiming her strength while also discovering new passions. As she cultivated a network of friendships through shared experiences, Lily began to gain confidence alongside Victor's nurturing presence. Together they attended charity events and hosted fundraisers for causes near their hearts, a partnership blossoming fueled by compassion rather than wealth. As months rolled on, they learned more about each other's histories. Victor revealed childhood memories spent working odd jobs to support his mother while nursing dreams of rising above struggles. Lily shared stories of hope amid despair, all forming bonds stronger than any material possession could offer. Their love flourished and deepened through shared experiences, from cozy evenings spent discussing their hopes for the future to weekends dedicated to community outreach, serving not only to uplift others but also cementing their connection with each passing moment. However, not all challenges were easily overcome. Occasional tensions arose amid judgment or financial decisions concerning charity, work where opinions clashed. Moments of doubt crept in like shadows, whispering insecurity even when things seemed bright. Yet through open communication and patience, they continued learning how love expanded beyond romance. It became rooted firmly in mutual respect and understanding formed through vulnerability. Together they crafted adventures that blended his world with hers, exploring modern art exhibits while experimenting with street food trucks reminiscent of Lily's previous life. They visited local parks, hosting community events where joy could be found in laughter shared among families striving for connection amidst diversity. And embracing vulnerability together, their relationship grew tenfold. Each confrontation paved the way for learning, but above all else, their journey became rich with authentic experiences woven tenderly between two individuals who had once walked vastly different paths. As time passed under shared sunsets painted golden hues above them, they marveled at the lessons taught by vulnerability. The struggles faced together forged a bond that transcended societal constraints, an intimate knowing that this life belonged not just to one but to both. A beautiful testament born anew against unimaginable odds. As Victor and Lily continued to build their life together, their journey became a testament to the power of love in overcoming differences and adversity. They found themselves navigating through challenges that not only tested their bond but also allowed them to grow stronger as individuals and as a couple. In the months that followed their engagement, they faced the complexities of merging their two worlds. Victor arranged for Lily to receive training and support in finding her footing in the business world. He connected her with mentors who recognized her potential, and soon she began exploring various passions, including advocating for those experiencing homelessness. Meanwhile, Victor learned to embrace vulnerability, recalibrating his understanding of wealth and status to emphasize compassion and authenticity. Together, they visited community shelters and engaged in outreach programs, blending Lily's experiences with his resources in ways that empowered them both. Their shared mission ignited a fiery passion within them, a fire fueled by a deep desire to uplift others who struggled as they once had. Yet their story was not without its conflicts. Invited to attend exclusive galas and high society events, Lily often felt out of place in ball gowns and sparkling jewelry, still grappling with feelings of inadequacy. "I'll never fit in, Victor," she voiced during one gala, her eyes scanning the room filled with people who were indistinguishable from one another against the backdrop of stately decor. Victor took her hands gently. "You are more than enough just being you," he reassured her softly. "It's your heart that shines brightest. Never forget that." As they navigated through the whirlpool of social expectations, overcoming judgmental glances and snarky comments became part of their routine. Initially, Victor felt compelled to defend their relationship against whispers that argued it defied logic. But over time, he learned to focus on his love for Lily rather than internalizing the cynicism around them. Lily often found solace in private moments shared together, the quiet evenings spent cuddled on the couch with their favorite books, sipping tea as they talked about hopes and dreams for a brighter future. "We're not done yet," she would muse to him with a playful glint in her eyes. "Just think about all we have left to explore." Equally important were the challenges born from each of their pasts. Lily's traumas as a homeless individual didn't just disappear. At times they resurfaced uninvited, an occurrence Victor embraced with understanding rather than frustration. On days when she felt desolate and overwhelmed, he remained patient, encouraging her to express her feelings openly. "How can I help?" he would ask earnestly as they sat beneath starry skies, the city lights twinkling like beacons of hope. "Just hold me close," she'd whisper back, melting within his embrace, surrounded by safety and warmth. As their love deepened, they found strength not only within one another but also within themselves, unearthing newfound resilience rooted in their shared experiences. The ring that had symbolized loss transformed into an emblem of new beginnings. Its emerald shimmer resembled a beacon guiding them through every obstacle. Things began shifting profoundly when people started recognizing the beautiful authenticity reflected through Victor and Lily's connection as they engaged in charitable efforts together. It inspired ripple effects throughout both societal circles. They began to shift perceptions surrounding class and love as community members shared stories of how they embodied hope while facing dire circumstances themselves. Their influences converged towards realization. Love could demolish walls built on misconceptions and norms that hold people apart based on status or wealth. With every passing day, Victor graced Lily with opportunities frequently spoken about within high society yet previously alienating to those mistreated by it. And for that, many took notice. The narrative surrounding their relationship morphed. People began celebrating them as proponents of change, lovers rewriting what unity can encompass amid diversity. At last, under sweeping sunsets painted vibrant hues across the horizon, a blend of pinks and oranges reminiscent of fresh possibilities. Victor turned toward Lily one evening in stillness. "Our journey doesn't end here. It's just beginning," he murmured softly with sincerity etched into every word. "That's right," she replied with determination glimmering behind her smile, nodding in agreement as excitement coursed through her veins. The world may have challenged them at every turn, but together they emerged resilient. United against adversities, transforming struggles into stepping stones, paving their remarkable path forward into love intertwined by mutual respect and understanding. In this new chapter brimming with hope, fueled by acceptance willing to rise above judgment, they stood hand in hand ready to dive boldly into every next adventure awaiting them on this unpredictable journey called life.